Hello, listeners. Good day. Welcome to Audio Stories Library. In the previous episode of Five Little Friends, we saw what they did in their school. In this episode, you will hear what they did in their vacation. The text of the story that I am narrating now is being displayed in the video. You can have a look at it and read along with me so that you get familiar with the words and it will be easier for you to read English books. Following that, you can look into some of the vocabulary and I will be explaining the meanings of those new vocabulary that we come across in this episode. Yeah, we will now get into the story. Ready? The Five Little Friends in Vacation. Soon after the pet show, school closed for the summer vacation. The children said goodbye to each other and to Miss West. For weeks, everybody had been busy planning for the summer. Paul went to the seashore, and you may be sure brave hero was taken along. Bob and his family went to the seashore too, and what was best of all, they took a cottage not far from where Paul lived. Dandy was sent out to the country. Betty's mother said, I want to have my little girl spend a summer on a farm, a real farm. So they went to Mr. White's. See if you can guess who went with them. No, it wasn't Arrow. The living airplane was left with Uncle Fred at grandmother's. It wasn't Miss West. She went away on a long trip across the ocean. It was a very nice little person whose name begins with D. And it was another very nice little person whose name begins with P. Peggy's mother went too, but Paul was sent to a bird shop. Little Dot's mother stayed in the city with Dot's father and the cat family to keep them from getting lonely. Dot promised to be a good girl and to do just what the other mothers told her. It was a bright June afternoon when the three little girls and the two mothers got off the train at a little country station. Mr. White came to meet them. He and Billy, the hired man, piled all the trunks and bags in a wagon. Then Billy climbed up on the high seat and cracked his whip, saying, Get up! Get up! The horses pulled, the dust flew, and away the wagon went. Then Mr. White packed the mothers and the little girls into his automobile, and away they also went to the farm. The farm was the very nicest place in the whole world. At least that is what the three little girls thought. Everything about it was nice. The rooms were big and cool and low. The white side porch was a lovely place to eat dinner. The big low attic was splendid for rainy day play. But the very, very nicest of all the nice things at the farm was Mary White. Mary was 9 years and she had lived on the farm all her life. She knew all the good places to play. She could call every animal on the farm by name. She could make up the most delightful games. What a splendid playmate she was. First, she took the children to the pasture to see the cows. There were 3 of them, Bonnie Bell, Bess, and Buttercup. Beside Buttercup was the dearest little calf with long thin legs and a soft tan coat. It was Don, Buttercup's first baby. He was just 2 months old and very full of life and mischief. Is that another cow over there? Said Peggy, pointing to a field beyond the pasture. Oh no, said Mary. That's Big Ben. He is a very wild and cross bull, so he has to have a home all by himself. No one ever goes into his field except Billy. Big Ben seems to hate people, but what he hates most is anything that is red. The children peeped in at Ben with nice, safe, afraid shivers going down their backs. Then Mary said, Come, let's go to the farmyard. The farmyard was a very busy place. I never saw so many pets in all my life, said Betty. But Mary knew them all. She showed them Mrs. Speckle with her family of little baby chicks that looked like fluffy yellow balls bobbing around her. Next, she pointed out Mrs. Black Hen with her larger children. Some of these chickens were losing their feathers. How Mary did laugh when Peggy cried, See, those poor chickens are peeling off. Now, said Mary, I will show you my trained chicken. First, she went into the house and came out with 2 ripe red cherries still on the stem. Then she called softly, Come, come, Tom Thumb. And as she finished calling, she put the stem of the cherries between her lips. Out from among the other chickens came a beautiful little white rooster. He looked almost like a toy, he was so tiny. With a glad little crow, he flew straight up to Mary's shoulder, where he began to peck at the cherries. He ate very daintily. Sometimes he would stop eating and cuddle down on Mary's shoulder. When the ripe red treat was all eaten, he gave another glad crow and flew down. Betty and Dot and Peggy loved to help feed the chickens. Every morning after breakfast, Mrs. White would come out into the yard with a big pan of cornmeal mush, and Mary would follow with a smaller pan of breadcrumbs. Then both mother and little girl would call, Chick, 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 as if they were singing the same tune over and over. At this, such a hurry and scurry as there would be. It seemed as if every fowl on the farm heard the call and was coming. There were big hens and little hens, brown hens, black hens, white hens, and speckled hens. There were fluffy baby chicks and long legged middle sized chickens. There were proud roosters with bright combs and gay glossy feathers. There were stately turkeys with long necks and great fan like tails. There were ducks with long fat bodies and big flat feet. Hurry, scurry, scurry, hurry, cluck, cluck, pip, pip, groo, groo, gobble, gobble, quack, quack. Such noise and excitement you never heard. Such table manners you never saw. All were talking at once. Everyone was pecking and pushing and grabbing. One morning at the farmyard breakfast, Mrs. White said, "Where can Brown Betty be? I haven't seen her for 2 or 3 weeks. I'm afraid she has gone off and hidden her nest somewhere. I wish I knew where, for turkey eggs are scarce this year. If you 4 children will find her nest, I will pay you 10 cents for each egg in it." The girls were very much excited. "Just suppose," said Betty, "that we find a nest with 6 eggs in it. That will be 60 cents. What shall we buy with so much money?" "Wouldn't it be fun to get father to take us to the store and let us buy things for a picnic?" said Mary. "Oh, yes, let's have a picnic!" cried Peggy and Betty. "But first," said wise little Dot, "we must find Brown Betty's nest." That very day, the children began to hunt for the hidden eggs. They climbed up into the barn loft and looked in the hay. Here they found Mrs. Knicker on her nest. When they came near, she ruffled up her feathers and gave an angry cluck. "Don't be afraid," laughed Betty. "We are looking for something worth much more than one little hen's egg." Then, hidden down in the hay, they came across a mouse's home with 4 baby mice in it. They looked very small and young and funny. Their tiny eyes were shut tight. "You are cunning little things, but you won't buy us a picnic," said Peggy. In the eaves of the barn, they found a swallow's nest, but the baby birds had flown away. Only some pieces of eggshell were left. All that day and part of the next, and the next, and the next, the children hunted and hunted, but no Brown Betty and no turkey eggs could they find. End of today's episode of Five Little Friends in Vacation. Now, we will look into the vocabulary that we came across in this episode, and I will explain the synonyms of them. The first one we see is wagon. Wagon is nothing but a vehicle that's being used for transporting the goods. Second one is whip. It's a small tool, a cord tied to a handle to beat the animals. Like how they use a string like stuff to beat the animal that is tied to the cart, right? If it could be a horse or a cow. With the whip, they just beat the animal so that the animal moves, right? So that's called the whip. Third one is attic. Attic is a small space inside the roof of a building. It could be used like a small room. So that's called attic. Splendid. Splendid is magnificent or excellent. Fifth one is delightful. It's enjoyable. Sixth one is playmate. Playmate is the one who plays with the child. Pasture. Pasture is a land covered with grass and other small plants. It is actually suitable place for the grazing animals like cow, sheep, etc. The eighth one is tan. Tan is nothing but the skin color, which is brown. Mischief, playful misbehavior. Tenth one is shiver. It's like when the body gets shivering, shake slightly. That's called shiver. 11th one is fluffy, soft and like wool or fur. Bobbing is nothing but jumping. Ripe. Ripe is that the fruit is ready for eating, so that's called ripe. 14th one is rooster. It's the male chicken. Daintily is delicately, like doing something very carefully, or something is done very carefully. Crow, to make a loud cry. Scurry, move hurriedly with short quick steps. Speckled, small spots or patches of color. Scarce, insufficient. If something is not sufficient, like if something is in demand, then we say it is scarce. Ruffle, bird straightens its feathers in anger. That's called the ruffle movement. Barn, a large farm building used for storing grain, hay, or straw, or for housing livestock. Livestock is nothing but the hens, maybe pigs, horses. So, the place where they are kept, it's called barn. In the same place, they can even store the grains, hay, or straw. Eaves, the part of a roof that meets or overhangs the walls of a building. We are now done with the vocabulary. For any further doubts or questions, please leave your comments in the comment section so that I will get back to you regarding your queries. In the next episode, we will see if those little girls found out the turkey eggs and if they made it to the picnic or not. Yeah? Okay, I'm signing off for now. Please do extend your support by subscribing to our channel Audio Stories Library and press the bell icon next to it. Thank you. Bye for now.